This session brought to you by Odyssey Games for pre-orders and sealed product, CCG Prime for tons of singles and supplies, Cardo Doko for international rulers looking for product, and fowtlibrary.com for articles and wonderful deck lists. It's also brought to you by our guest lecturer members Vite Ramen and King Pearlshine. Class is in session. Hey there, rulers! Welcome back after a long week of class, and for some of you, a weekend of playing in a Force of Will festival, to your favorite ever live Force of Will vodcast, It's Office Hours, featuring myself, DMO73, and I'm joined as always by Michael Rance. Mike Rance, how are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, man. How are you doing? How are you feeling
I'm
after
doing-
that long weekend?
I'm
of Force
doing
of
pretty
Will?
good. It was good. I got to cube twice. One time I really thought. I actually put meaningful effort into my drafting, and the second time I just went, no, only darkness cards, and both times I won,
Wow.
so it worked out.
On brand for you.
Yeah. I was just like, I don't want to think, darkness cards only. Although I will say, in the second time, only dark. It was like, but then because of what got handed to me, it did have to change to cards that could produce black, or cards that I didn't have to spend will on, so that kind of counts. So that my stone base could just be 8 darkness basic stones. So I ended up with This Means War and Severing Winds. And I was like, these are technically darkness cards. I don't have to pay will for them. It's fine. But we have a lot of cards to talk about tonight, and it's going to be a super great time. We already have plans for FowFest 2023, so this is definitely going to be an annual thing. So can't wait to be able to start putting together stuff for that. For those of you who couldn't have gone, who are maybe interested in potentially supporting us for 2023, to help us make it bigger, we do have some of the prize wall stuff still available that we are offering up for sale to help us raise funds for next year. So if you're interested in some of the cool exclusive Chinese playmats or some of the Chinese Melfies and Black Witches, just go ahead and email us at rulerschoolcontent@gmail.com. And you can check that out, and we will talk to you about what we have available, or you can talk to us in the Discord servers, and we'll get some of that stuff to you, potentially. So, with that, let's go ahead and get into spoilers. We have Ki Lua's whole kit of what was spoiled, plus the Ruler School spoilers from the top 8 yesterday, as well as we got to see Goo Boy today.
Goo Boy.
So, we have Ki Lua, the fossil girl of Melted Ice, partner to Moonchild. She starts the game with 4 ice counters. Not a trigger, it's just as the game starts. Right? Isn't a colon? Okay, it's not a colon. As the game starts. Yep. Whenever an ice counter is removed from this card, draw a card. That seems real bad for me to do. And then quickly to go into her contract, her child, Wind Moon Child. It's Child of the Crimson Wind, Bond, rest a recovered magic stone to filter for green or red. And her God's Art is recover target J/Resonator. So she has, just out the gate, her plus her Moonchild are the most one-track mind of any of the rulers we've seen so far. That being said, her support suite already lends herself to being able to do a couple different potential play lines here. Which you'll see in terms of are we going to try to burn through the ice counters as fast as possible, or are we going to actually try to go up and down on them, which is very interesting. But it's a cool idea for a red-green deck. Yeah.
No, I agree. The one thing I will say, this God's Art of the Child of Crimson Wind, probably one of the most toxic God's Arts I've ever seen.
I think it's okay. I mean, we already have things that are insanely cheap to recover stuff anyway.
Yeah.
And the problem is back in the day, I will say this: the biggest thing from back in the day was I flip my J ruler, I attack, I recovered, I attack again. But also that was in the era of I don't have a lot of J ruler removal, right? And so the idea of recovering a boss monster is significantly less threatening now. Because of how efficient removal has gotten. So don't get me wrong. I mean, we went from spells that we have to draw, that I have to pay 1 to do that, to 0, I always have it. But at the same time, those 1-cost quick effect cards to be able to recover have been in the available for us for Wanderer since we were transitioned to Wanderer. and really haven't been utilized. So like, do I suddenly think this being there is suddenly going to open the floodgates of a bunch of stupid stuff? Probably not.
But
But
you know what it is going to do?
no.
It's going to enable, drum roll please, Prego TK and other rulers outside of Glorious Faria.
There we go. Yeah, it's possible. It's cool. It's also Nyarlathotep as a Moonchild, so like neat.
Yeah.
And
it's cute Nyarlathotep too.
So then we do have Megiddo, the Artificial Sun. J 2-cost quick cast. J/Resonators dealt damage by this card cannot attack or block until end of turn. On enter, deals 800 damage to your opponent's board, and you can tap to remove an ice counter to deal 800 damage to target J/Resonator. This is honestly probably the most splashable cocoon.
It's also the only cocoon that literally you do not ever want to start the game with using your cocoon.
Yes, there's no point to it. Well, the one that we got spoiled today for T2 probably you don't want to, but this is a cocoon that I could see non-bond rulers playing, right? Of all of the cocoons, like this is the one
it's literally just a board nuke.
I mean, also just like prevent a turn of attacking, prevent a turn of blocking. Like there's a lot of flexibility for this. So yeah, it's very interesting to me. I like it a lot. It's a very cool card.
Yeah, I think it's just like if you're playing red green, it's just a good card for it.
Yeah,
wow,
for sure.
Good red green cards at my Force of Will, crazy.
But let's talk about the card that really matters here, which is her contract, Divine Lightning. 1 red, 1 green quick cast. Choose one. Target J/Resonator loses all abilities until end of turn. Then this card deals 800 damage to it. So Gradius. Although it's reversed, right? Gradius is 800 damage, then loses all abilities, right? Maybe.
Yeah, I think so.
Target ruler loses all. Second mode. Target ruler loses all abilities and cannot be contracted until end of turn. Or if there are no ice counters on Ki Lua, you can contract it with her. And it has a mastery of her. Her being the anti-contract ruler is not what I was anticipating by any means, but it is very nice that we have a way to disrupt contract rulers, keeping also in mind that you can also just play this card outside of Ki Lua to disrupt contract rulers. And also keep in mind that this could be used instant speed in response to your opponent trying to contract, to say like,
oh my god,
no.
Just them playing the spell?
Yeah, like they go to play the contract spell and you're like, cool, you can't contract this turn. Like,
is that how that works?
Yeah. Because
contracts on resolution?
Because it contracts on resolution.
Oh, that's so stupid.
So you can interrupt your opponent's contract by playing the spell. It's the same reason why End of Night is able to like kill the End of Night and then immediately recontract, because it checks for contract condition at that moment of resolution. And so with Divine Lightning, she just goes, cool that you're trying to try to contract. Nope.
God.
So yeah, the front side of this card is insanely good. And then the J ruler side of it is Predator. 10/10 with Swiftness, Pierce, enter, put target dinosaur resonator from your graveyard into the field. It gains at the next end of turn. Its controller banishes it. There are some very cool reanimatable dinosaurs to go with this, so it's very, very neat. She does have the most like traditional one and done kind of J ruler flip. Yeah,
it's also Cthulhu / dinosaur, which is so sick.
Yeah, it's very cool. Like this J ruler side feels like something that I would be like, oh yeah, I would judgment into this, knowing that I'm only gonna ever do it once, because it's just like
this literally feels like a Grim Alice Cluster era ruler.
Yeah, for sure. In terms of the flip,
so great. Yeah.
Reinhardt Rip.
That's so stupid. Shut up, Stephen Wells.
Let's see. Stephen Wells, good to see you, my friend. I mean, like overall, I think that like if you want to play aggressive, you're probably gonna lean into the dinosaur reanimate piece with her. Like you're gonna see in a little bit a lot of the dinosaurs discard to burn her ice counters and stuff like that. So if you're going for the aggressive route, That's what happens here. If you're going for the control route, there's also wonderful dinosaurs that you can make use of. Also, keep in mind that this says at the next end of turn. So, like, you also can kind of potentially contract in that last end of turn phase, reanimate something and that doesn't have swiftness, and then go into your turn and do something, which is very neat. Overall, though, I think the best text for Predator and Ki Lua, and probably how I would be playing her, would be leaning into that like anti-contract kind of style. Because there are some great effects that want to burn the ice counters off of her, which means you want to be putting more ice counters back on her. Like, it is going to be finding a balance. Neat though, I like it. Also, keep in mind that like last dice of a powerless Dragonoid, would just remove all of the counters from her. So like, something to note. We all also have gotten word that last dice of a powerless Dragonoid would remove all of the counters from both rulers for like reflect and refrain. So you can just reset reflect and refrain with last days, which is very interesting. So let's talk about some dinosaurs. First up, we have Dreadnought Dinosaur. 4 cost 10/10, gains quick cast in all zones until end of turn if there are 1 or more ice counters were removed this way from a J/ruler you control this turn. You pay 1 red or 1 green less to play this card for each damaged J/resonator your opponent controls, and on enter, destroy all damaged J/resonators your opponent controls. Hunting Dragon for dinos.
Hunting Dino for Dragos.
Right. I mean, there's not really much to say to this card other than it's just a retread of Hunting Dragon for her, which looked bad at first, and then we can see the 1-drop that she has later, which can certainly better facilitate this guy coming out faster if you're trying to play a pure Dino tribal.
Yep. I'm also going to put this into Mikage, paying 4 things for the blood counters, and then drop this for free and wipe the board. Obviously, it's not quick cast, but, you know, whatever.
Oh, yeah, that is a point, Steven. We didn't really talk about the fact that Ki Lua herself, whenever she loses an ice counter, you draw a card. That does give a lot of benefit to the cards that she wants. Like, it turns things into cantrips, which is pretty cool for her, for sure. Mm-hmm. Which is also why I kind of want to lean into the, like, constantly adding and removing ice counters from her to keep my hand advantage good. But that's me. Next up, we have Ice Melter Dragon. 1 red, 1 colorless, 7/7. Gains swiftness as long as you have no counters on your Ki Lua specifically. And yes, you have to specifically control a Ki Lua for this thing to be able to gain swiftness. You can't just be like, well, I'm not playing Ki Lua, so it has swiftness. I have no counters. It specifically checks, do you have a Ki Lua under your control? Does it have no ice counters? Cool, I have swiftness. Before anyone tries to break that.
Very importantly, this also loses swiftness if you flip over to Predator.
Correct.
Which is interesting.
You may remove an ice counter. You may remove an ice counter from a J/ruler you control. If you do, this card deals 700 damage to target player or J/resonator. It's a card.
It's got burn.
It's a normal. Like, it's a 2-drop 7/7 normal. I mean, there's nothing really much to take a stick at there, other than also that will draw you a card off of Ki Lua, which is nice. And then we have the happiest boy, Ice Keeper Dragon. 1 green, 1 colorless, 7/7. Discard this card. Put an ice counter and a J/ruler you control. You're probably going to be playing, again, if you're playing the burn the ice counters as fast as possible, go face, you're not going to play this card. If you're playing the one that you want to continually keep a couple ice counters on there, probably going to play like 3 of this guy. Just because it's a free discard to get a counter on.
It's very odd the way this was designed, though, because, like, obviously, if you're discarding dinosaurs into the grave, you want to bring them back with the judgment. But if, like, you're putting ice counters on your J-ruler, you're getting further away from the judgment. So, like,
it's weird.
Interesting balance.
Yeah, it's a very interesting. Like that's what I'm saying. Like, you probably will like want to like hover at like 1, like if you're that kind of thing, so that at a moment's notice you could drop down to 0 and go in if you wanted to. But I could see you like going from like 0 to 1 to 0 to 1 to 0 to 1, kind of like keeping up with that a little bit. Very, very cool. Yeah, the 2-drop 7/7 is a pretty. I mean, like, it's pretty decent. Like, it's not bad. It's just like
a 2-mana 7/7 that deals 7 is fine.
It's fine. Yeah, it doesn't like shake my. It doesn't like so crazy.
It's like, wow, it's a thing. Oh, you know what? You could discard this thing to Scarlet for 700 burn damage.
You could. Look at all the dinos that Scarlet suddenly is going to have to be able to burn people with.
In all honesty, that is a better use of this card than actually playing it. I'm going to be very frank.
Yeah. Because her ability is pay 1, discard a card, right?
Yeah, and if it's a dinosaur, it's 700 damage instead of 500, which is the 700 damage. Wow.
Next up, we have Disrupting Shout. 1 green quick cast. Return target resonator. Total cost 1 or less to its owner's hand. If you controlled your own, if it was your own thing, draw a card. That's a very cool effect, by the way. Bastet says hello. Remove.
Oh.
I mean, it's just the Bastet effect, but better, right?
Yeah. But for 1 drop, so
and it can also bounce your opponent's things. Like, that's a thing. Remove an ice counter from a J/ruler you control. If you do, cancel target spell or automatic ability your opponent controls unless the controller pays 1. So you have a wall of wind that cantrips if you're using Ki Lua. Overall, that's pretty good. Wall of Wind has kind of dropped off in terms of like only taxing 1 when we're in an era of
mana cheat.
Not necessarily mana cheat, but also like the coin and like other ways to like mana dorks aren't terrible anymore, especially if you consider like if Origins Drywing does get banned, right? That like we have ways to make it so that like we can play just ahead enough of curve that taxing us 1 isn't terrible. That being said, I don't hate this as a tool for Ki Lua, especially because it cantrips. So it's like I paid 1 green, tried to Wall of Wind you, but if it didn't work, I still at least replaced this card, so it doesn't feel as bad, if you do pay into it or something like that. So pretty cool, pretty neat card for her.
Jeremy, the way you keep pronouncing Ki Lua's name really just keeps
Hunter.
Yeah.
I mean, like the effect is her having a bunch of spiky hair with some really dark, dark eyes, going crazy with a bunch of spiky teeth and lightning everywhere. I mean, it's like really very heavy Hunter vibes.
I also like this card's art a lot because I feel like whenever somebody plays it, they're just gonna scream. I feel like it's gonna be really, really solid for a tournament.
Scream. Yeah, for sure.
Perfect. I love it.
Disrupts but doesn't interrupt necessarily. Yeah, correct. It's a disruption. Okay, next up we have No Bite, No Fight. 1 red quick cast. Choose 1. Remove an ice counter from a J/ruler if you do draw a card. So this is Pot of Greed for Ki Lua. And then you may produce 3 will, or you may produce 3 will in any color combination of green and or black, or green and or red. Use this only if there are no ice counters on a ruler named Ki Lua, Fossil Girl of Melted Ice you control. And again, same thing with the other dragon. You have to specifically control her and then have no counters on her to get that second mode. She probably honestly plays 4 of this. Because it's like will sink draw power.
It's literally Pot of Greed.
Yeah, it's just Pot of Greed.
Pot of Greed do, Jeremy?
Draw 2 cards.
Allows me to take 2 cards from my deck and put them into my hand.
Correct. Yeah. This is probably a standard 4 of in Ki Lua decks.
100%. This is like just very good.
Yeah.
Because
it also it does help you ramp up to the high cost dinos, because we're gonna see like she does have some pretty heavily costed dinos.
I know. I don't see the dino strategy working out with her. I look at this card and I'm like, a consistency boosting engine that pays for itself doesn't pay for itself, but like it generates more advantage for the later ones you use, and can also just produce a combination of wills, not locked to just playing dinosaurs. Like you can play anything with that.
That's
which
true.
Means that you can go into like a combo turn with this, and it facilitates its own combo, which is spicy.
Yeah,
that's like real spicy.
Of the rulers so far, Ki Lua sounds how I could do it as Ki Lua. I can do it as Ki Lua. Whatever.
Ki Lua.
Yeah, whatever. She feels like the one that's gonna have the most like flexibility in terms of how you want to build her. Like she feels the most open-ended because of what her tools do. That you can play it as a raw dino aggro. You can play it as a dino reanimator with a bunch of discard stuff. You can play it as a control deck. You can play it a combo deck. You can play it a lot of different ways. She feels the most open, which is kind of nice because like the first three rulers were very like, here's their package. Your tech options will vary, which I don't hate coming from insert generic anime protagonist and their 2 children, the set from this past set. But it is also nice that it's not just a full super generic to super specific set 1 to set 2 shift. It's just nice. It's a good balance. Next up, we have Monster Hunter. 1 red, 1 2 colorless quick cast. Choose a race. This card deals 2,000 damage to J/Resonators of the chosen race. This card doesn't exist. Moving on. If this card was a 1-drop, I'd accept it. But we like tribal, pure tribal, has not been a thing for a very long time. Decks are not just 1 race, and this card costs way too much for that.
You don't have to explain why a card that costs 3 and doesn't do anything useful is bad. Moving on.
Hey, I'm putting on a show, Mike. Putting on a show.
You are certainly putting on a show.
Terror in the Ice. 1 red, 1 green quick cast. Remove up to 2 ice counters from a J/ruler you control. Reveal the top cards from your deck until you reveal a dinosaur resonator with total cost X, where X is the number of ones that you revealed. Put it into the field and shuffle the rest into your deck. I mean, like,
this card doesn't exist. Jeremy, don't defend the card.
2 cost quick cast. Free body.
Card, Jeremy, don't defend the card.
I gotta see what other tiny dinos we get.
Okay, cool. Don't defend the card.
I won't defend it beyond that. I just want to see what other tiny dinos we get. It's fair? Fair?
That's fair. That's fair. It's got a very cool name and a very cool art. Moving on.
Yeah.
I like the flavor text of this one too. There's terror frozen in the ice. Next.
Yeah. Wee.
Good job, translator Kun.
Permafrost monster. 4 red, 12/4. Swiftness, precision, pierce. You may pay 3 red less to play this card. If 1 or more ice counters were removed from a J/ruler you control this turn, discard this card. Put an ice counter on a J/ruler you control. This feels like absolutely perfectly designed as a super rare for her. Right?
This card's so sick.
Like, I really like this card. Everything about this card feels right up her alley for what she wants, but not just like, oh, her super rare is so insane I can't answer it. Like, the thing only has 400 defense, but like it feels very much like a super rare, and it feels very much like a Ki Lua card, and I really like it. Also, just like the artwork on it is absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, I was about to say, this thing
looks
like
so sick.
See, I miss when more of the supers had like things going over like their text boxes and stuff. Like, this thing's got tentacles going over its title. It's so flavorful and cool. Like,
why isn't it a dino? Because it's a Cthulhu.
Yeah, she's part Cthulhu, part Dino on her flip side. You can't have this thing coming out for free. Although, I will, Jeremy, I'm gonna tangent here for just a moment.
Take it out. Let's go.
On the fact that like I need force of will. I need the team to think about me for a second.
Think about specifically Mike Rance.
Think about me.
Okay, we're thinking about you.
Putting precision and pierce on things because everybody's gonna think it works the way that it does, but it doesn't. I'm going to attack this thing with my precision guy. Okay, I'm gonna pierce. Pierce what? Your face. You can't. Give it first strike instead. Thank you. Anyway, moving on.
It's fair. That's fair.
But otherwise, this card's just fucking rad.
It's dope. Dope card. Imagine what that's gonna look like full art, dude. Oh, it's gonna look so good. Can't wait to crack one open. Next up, we have the rushing dinosaur. Look at that little lad's face.
He's going
fast.
Fast as fuck, boy.
1 drop, 4/4 swiftness. This card cannot be attacked or blocked by resonators of total cost 1 or less. That's a relevant line of text. And whenever this card attacks, it deals 200 damage to your opponent and each resonator they control. J/resonator they control. I wonder if that's some kind of enabler for a card we saw earlier that wants your opponent to have a bunch of damaged things but aren't dead. If this card,
it's the perfect setup for Mad Pyromancer.
Yeah, it's also the perfect.
That's the card I'm thinking.
There it is. There it is. You got it. Let me go find my Pyromancer. Okay. Yeah, it is for sure. Like, this is. I'd like to harken you all back to year 1 FOW in the US to a little card named Hunter in the Black Forest. One drop 3/3 red swiftness. 7
This
years
is
later,
now.
7
The
years
old
later,
man.
this is him now. But like honestly, a good one drop red Swifty boy we actually haven't really had in quite a while. They've all been like enter, do a thing, not with swiftness. Like Zhuge Liang was close if you ordered her kind of thing. But like a decent.
We haven't had a swiftness red one drop, like a traditional.
Yeah, this is just
One
turn
red
thing
Swifty.
sideways, one red Swifty boy. And
This is turn things sideways that you can't block if you're playing a guy to block the thing that turns things sideways. Are you gonna wall of terror me? No, you ain't. You don't even have a wall of terror on the board right now.
yeah. This card's very cool.
Oh my God, I love
This card's very cool. The artwork of this card just makes me think that like we don't do variants anymore. But the artwork of this card just makes me go, I wonder what a variant of this would look like from like back in the old DINO variant days.
It doesn't matter because variants are never going to be visited again.
Correct, but it's just interesting. Now let's talk about the real reason we're all here tonight, the boy. Because
the lad.
Because this is the third giant big monster in a row that Kodokan has made, and they are all just beautiful boys, and I love all of them.
Kodokan's artwork so much.
Grand Leon, the strongest ancient. 4 red, 1 green, 15/15 with swiftness, precision, and pierce. But whenever your opponent plays a spell with total cost 1 or less, not resolves a spell, plays a spell of total cost 1 or less, this card deals 1,000 damage to your opponent. Keep in mind, it doesn't say 1,000 damage to target player, so it gets around things like wall or you having barrier. And then pay 1 red, discard this card, remove an ice counter from a J/ruler you control. If you do, this card deals 600 damage to target player or J/resonator. Pay 1 green, discard this card, remove an ice counter you control. If you do, destroy target J/resonator with flying. This card is gorgeous, and I love it so much.
I for one am appreciative of our great big man overlord.
Yeah, just always the boy. Here comes the boy.
He's damn boy, he thick.
He is indeed thick.
Did I comment on this one? Hey mom, wake up, new dino surfacing target.
Like
strike.
Yeah, new dinosaur surfacing target for sure. Like it's the
Put it in a divinity deck with the massive growth / dino surfacing for the big boy turn 3, and then you realize you died, but it's fine.
I mean, no, but also like we're not dying that quick unless you're playing a berserker and you're being an idiot. But anyway, you're playing against a berserker,
Correct.
You're being an idiot. But also, like the fact that it's whenever your opponent plays. So like, try to kill it. Oh, it's a 1-drop you're trying to kill me with. Trigger burn you 1,000. Cast Lorite to try to cancel it. Cool. That's a 1-drop. Trigger to burn you for 1,000. Like.
Also got my own Lorite, so your Lorite's getting canceled. You're taking 2K.
Yeah, you're gonna take 2K. Like
Oops, you're dead
a
to
hard,
the
a hard punishment effect. Ugh, this card is very, very cool.
The fact that this card also just is immediate. So you remember how I said before? It's really weird how the thing that wants to be revived discards itself to do a thing.
Leap, why would you be scared this would get banned?
This card's like not even good, but it's rad.
I mean, like it's pretty decent.
It's decent. It's not good. It's not ban worthy.
It's it's definitely not ban worthy by any means.
I'm going to say the most important thing about any Force of Will card ever. You ready for this?
Is it something related to cost?
No, this card it's not related to cost. The reason this card will not get banned is because this card is fair. And in Force of Will, fair only goes this far.
This card's just fine. It's fine. It's
fine.
very, very cool.
Awesome.
You are going to be finding ways to play this card for faster than 5. There are honestly probably some situations where you might find yourself just casting this boy for 5, based on how long the matches go. But like you think about the fact that like her whole gimmick is reanimate a dinosaur, and it's like the dino, right? So here comes the boy. And we do have things like for dinosaur surfacing and everything else to be able to get him back out very quickly.
I do love that.
Okay.
And you discard him to Nyarlathotep for the 700 burn.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Wow.
So let's talk about the 4 exclusive spoilers that we showed off on the top 8 yesterday.
I haven't even seen this yet.
So first up, we have Dexia's Advice: 2 blue, 1 colorless. Non-quick cast chant.
Jeremy, you probably should have given this to me before we started.
I did, but now I'm just going to talk to you now.
Okay, cool.
You may search your deck for any number of resonators with combined total cost of 3 or less that don't share a name, and put them into the field. If you do, shuffle your deck. Awakening of Rest, a recovered card named Aristella Twin Prince. You control. You may also search your deck for a light or water chant with total cost 2 or less and play it without paying its cost. If you do, shuffle your deck. So this is a boosted Charge of the Fairy Tale King that does not have quick cast and costs you 1 more. Keep in mind that the 3 costs are not locked to being just fairy tales. So you can grab kind of whatever you want out of the deck. And also keep in mind that mastery or that awakening kicker can get you contract for Aristella, which can then get you a Fairy Tale King, which is very interesting. Yeah, also, Evil Elemental Uprising, which just got a promo, could mess with her reanimate effects. Alargento, hello, very new to the game, basically know nothing, but you had a friend of yours gift you a deck. You wondering where you can look at the current meta decks. We have tournament report videos here on the channel where Paul goes over like the top lists from recent tournaments. And looks at those deck profiles. We also have a lot of deck profile videos here on the channel as Mike slowly starts to glitch out. So I would go ahead and recommend checking out those videos to kind of get yourself caught up and kind of look at what people are playing competitively. But also keep in mind that like casual play for Force of Will is all over the place, and so you can just have a really fun time playing with what you want.
Am I
3 mana. You're done. 3 mana.
Okay.
Search for 5 resonators, and cast a 2-drop chant for free. Search for 5 resonators? How are you searching for 5 resonators?
I think they're talking about the Magi prototypes.
Well, you only get 1 Magi prototype. It's resonators of different names.
Yeah. Oh, I guess not horse. I see the last one.
Oh, yeah, sure. Okay, sure. Keep thinking it's Mastery, not Awakening. No, it's an Awakening. If horse doesn't get banned, yes, then this could grab you a lot of stuff. But it is a 3-cost non-quick cast card. So like it is an investment to try to get this card to resolve. And so, but there is a lot of potential payoff from this card for sure. Yes, it can. So here's an interesting to note. It can grab you the sword for the Flight of the Holy Sword, which is a 2-cost chant, and then you play it without paying its cost, but when choosing to play it, you may choose to awaken it. So you can potentially pay 5 will and put out all these dudes and then contract into Holy Sword, giving those dudes eternal, and then put out the mech and blow up the board. So a very potential 5 will heavy non-quick cast, like here's a board and a mech, deal with it kind of option playline.
Here are guys.
Yeah, this is very, very interesting. Yeah, so this is a very cool card. I like it a lot. Next up for the exclusive spoilers, we have a Reflect Refrain card. This is Interfering with Cocoon. It is 1 green, quick cast. Draw a card if the combined number of magic counters on J/rulers you control is 7 or more. Recover all magic stones you control. Pretty straightforward. Pretty straightforward card for Reflect Refrain. Nothing crazy. It is a 1-cost wind chant, so this is probably a card that you could grab off of that, like search for a 1-drop or less green or white chant. So you probably only play this as like potentially a 1-of, just to be like, okay, I kind of need to go in or win a cancel war here, so it's nice to have this in the back pocket, because it doesn't generate you any magic counters. All it does is just draw you a card. So it's probably like a 1 or a 2 of that you can kind of like try to go grab for Reflect Refrain if you need to in the end game.
Reflect's got some stubby ass legs, man.
Yeah, man.
Like Refrain looks like
a person
adequately portioned for like a small person.
Yeah, for sure.
Reflect's just like, I'm a little leprechaun man. But also it's okay. So are you ready for me to
Yeah,
drop my hot take?
go for it.
All right, cool. So this card is 1 wind. It's quick cast, and it says draw a card. Now the card is bad, but somebody somewhere in this world is going to be complaining about how broken this card is. Somewhere on the Force of Will Discord.
Stephen
Mark my
Holscheiser told me
words.
that it was insane when I showed it to him at FalFest.
How did I know? How did I know that somebody?
Yeah. Alargento, did you not hear what I said about fowlibrary.com is also a wonderful place to be able to look at
That's a
current
good
lists.
site.
So like those are the options that I would recommend. Take a look at. Okay. Card number 3. Let's go to the super rare. Yeah, they gave us a super rare this time to spoil. Pretty cool. So
Pretty neat.
this is Dragon of Megiddo. It is 3 green, 9/9 with flying. On enter, put the top card of your Magic Stone into the field rested, and you can pay 1 green and 1 colorless and discard this card to destroy target addition. If you destroyed an addition you control this way, put this card from your graveyard into the field. So if your opponent goes to kill one of your additions, pop it yourself, get a 9/9 flyer, and ramp a stone. Foul Library is down right now. Okay, thanks for letting us know, guys. Again, so I would just go check out our recent like deck profiles and feature matches and tournament reports. We'll have another one up later this week with the FowFest stuff, that this big tournament we just had this past weekend, so that can give you some information. Welcome to the game.
So I'm gonna make something very important here.
Yeah.
That burning of the text box effect from the wings, fucking rad.
Yeah.
Love that.
This card looks so good.
Good job, Kusanagi Chioen.
Yeah.
I can't read. But dude, this card seems sick.
Yeah, it feels like a very good, just generically good super rare, right? Especially since a lot of decks are getting back into using additions again, even outside of the Cocoon rulers. Having something that says like, oh, you're gonna try to go kill my Cocoon. Joke's on you. I'm gonna ramp a stone and put a 9/9 threat into the board. Like, that's just very real.
Dominic Dorian talking about Shadow Sport for Cradles. Cradles, yes. But if you want to know the real tech spikes, you're going to Seal of Lenneth something, and before Seal of Lenneth resolves.
Yep, it's the same. We've seen these kind of tricks before of like even to killing your own additions and like to force it. It's very, very cool. It's very
so
cool. Keep also in mind this works with something like Cage of Mother Goose, which is interestingly enough able to be played for free from a fairy tale. So then it's like, oh, I've got a Dark Alice. I'll tap the Dark Alice to play Seal of Mother Goose. In response to its trigger, sack it to this. So Jeremy, I removed your thing. I put this in. I ramp a stone into play tapped. Like
Jeremy, Gretel who? We could do Mono Green Grim again.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Diamond Dude, there have been a lot of cards that have done this over the text box. This is not the first.
Yeah, but this one's really like
this is very cool. This is a very cool card. I was very honored to be able to spoil a super rare. But we do have the 4th card we have is a card that people have been kind of asking for in their own way. This is Moo Tribe Straggler. 1 white, 3 colorless, 10/10. You may pay 1 void less to play this card for each card in your opponent's Shinobi EX area and or Possession EX area. On enter, put up to 2 cards from your opponent's EX area into the owner's graveyard. It does not target cards in their EX area. It just says, at resolution, move 2 to the grave. People were wanting to make sure we had some way to interact with the EX area. I present to you a sideboardable card that interacts with the EX area. Importantly enough, it is a white card, so it is quick castable with Tea Party. This card is pretty dang good. Sideboardable. It's a very good sideboard card.
Literally, like, this card will see no main deck play ever in
Correct. Which is fine. There are cards that could be just fine just being relegated to the sideboard. And it's also nice to have it come out alongside the EX areas so that there's a natural threat to them in sideboard that anyone can use in the same set that they come out. Yeah, I love how it's and or, as in you're somehow might be using both. Well, technically that's not... Technically you can. You could play the Shinobi and then play both of the Moon Children so that you get both EX areas. So like that's
Ah.
not actually impossible.
Jeremy, stop.
You could do it.
Oh, and then in Epic Stories, well, let me just tell you.
Well, that's still just the same 3. In Epic Stories rules, if you use 2 Moon Children, you have to use 1 Bond Ruler. So it's the same thing. Yeah, you can use both because of the Moon Children also giving access to that area. Very interestingly enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's Moo Tribe Straggler.
Oh, but the enter effect only targets either the opponent's Shinobi EX or the EX area.
It's put up to 2 cards. It doesn't target. So you could pick from both.
It's a very odd wording, but
you could pick them both. Ghost ninjas, let's go. You don't stand a ghost of a chance.
Ghost ninja.
So let's talk about our last ruler. This is Metal Life Form T2. I cannot believe they did T2 is the name. This is Scooboy. This is Scooboy. So he has partner Moonchild, as usual, and whenever you play an addition that will be added to a J/Resonator as it enters the field, draw a card. This ability only triggers once per turn. Yeah, that's right. Addition Resonators, baby.
Resonators support. Let's go.
Aldo absolutely, that's what this whole conversation is about. Feel free to ask questions. A deck that I would recommend to a beginning player is Olivia. Olivia is a very good deck to just like learn basic fundamentals. You can also pick up the most recent Hero Cluster starter decks. Those are very good decks to try to like learn the beginnings of it. Wolfgang 2 is a pretty new player friendly deck as well.
Yeah.
We have a couple profiles for that here on the channel, so we also just recently did a feature match of that. You can go check out what that looks like as well. Those are just a couple of options. Violet is actually now with post ban list pretty straightforward to play. So you can check that out as well. That's another ruler that's pretty new player friendly, both budgetary and like playstyle wise.
Celesta.
Yeah, the return of Edition J/Resonator. We do see his Moonchild as the mysterious messenger. Bond rests to make red or blue. Awakening is you may search for a fire or water metal life form resonator with total cost 1 or less. Reveal it and put it into your hand. If you do, shuffle your deck.
This is like the most strict of all.
It is the most strict, yeah, for sure. And then Death Metal Sea of Metal. Ruins of Never-Ending Rain Ruins. Got that kind of vibe going on.
But it's fucking Death Metal!
Yeah, for sure. 1 red, 1 blue. As long as you control exactly 1 J/Resonator, it gains Eternal. We playing Boggles, boys. On enter, draw 2 cards, then remove 2 cards in your hand from the game. Produce white, red, and or blue for each metal life form removed this way. I have no idea what this ruler is going to be.
Dude, honestly, I really hope it's just like Voltron with 1 card on the board.
Yeah.
Keep stacking additions onto it.
Yeah,
That
probably.
so stupid. Also, the fact that this is a cocoon that actually has a very relevant. It's a relevant thing for people trying to just have like 1 card on the board. Like, ready for this? Were-Rabbit of the Lonely Moon Were-Rabbit?
Where was it? Was the only resonator it gets buffed?
Just put it up. Put this.
Well, the other thing is it's a cocoon, right? So like the other rulers, like Justice actually doesn't hate this. I mean, he already has Eternal, right? But like Addition Justice doesn't hate this because it's just like, oh, what if Justice is my only resonator, so that even if I tap him, he still has Eternal. Like, okay, like this is very, very interesting. And it's not an irrelevant enter effect, like to begin the game. Like people were playing wall to draw an extra card. This is draw 2 cards, and it's like a little bit more hand sculpting afterwards. So like I could see this potentially being sideboarded into the Gen 1 Cocoon rulers as a potential like option based on matchup.
Oh, let me make sure. El Argento or El Argento, whatever
Yeah.
the pronunciation is. This card costs 2 mana, so
Yeah,
that ain't 0 mana.
this card costs 2. It's 1 red, 1 blue.
We've had 0 mana draw 2. It's not as good as you think.
Yeah, for sure. So is this going to be the design for Moon Children going forward? Well, we only have one more set. So set 1 Moon Children seemed very much designed to be like, welcome to Moon Children. These are generic, go nuts, build whatever you want.
I would say,
and set 2.
I would say Ki Lua's is pretty generic.
Yeah. And set 2 Setsu has been more like okay, very thematic rulers.
So I'm gonna say something very interesting here. So the Moon Children for the Shinobis and for the possession areas and on the area, so you can use the effects. This is the only Moonchild so far that's like straight up like glued to its gimmick, essentially.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Colors in the pentagram.
Yeah. The cost is in the upper left corner. So this costs 1 blue, 1 colorless, and 0. So like to give you an example, like this card right here, Monster Hunter, costs 1 red and 2 of any color. So that gives you an example of like how to read cost in FOW. Good questions though. Glad to have you here. Love to see new people.
Yeah. Oh, Magic's Gathering player stuff. Yeah. So you remember Faithless Looting. This is him now. Feel old yet? Anyway.
But yeah, these are our cards. Overall, I mean, like, the cycling of the rulers has been a little bit weird for these podcasts on Monday because, like, I knew this was coming where a ruler was going to get spoiled on a Monday. And so we were going to go, yep, that's a ruler, and not going to be able to talk about it because it showed no support cards. So tomorrow we'll see the contract, which will be very, very interesting.
But most importantly, we got to see what Goo Boy does.
Most importantly, we did get to see what Goo Boy does. And so now in terms of rulers, we're just waiting to see what the new Gears rulers look like. So clustering they have said that clusters moving forward will be either 2 or 3 sets. And so it does look like 3 sets for this one, as far as we know, which makes sense if they're planning on having Worlds before, like right before the summer, because that means that we would be most likely getting set 1 of the new cluster around Worlds.
Yep.
So
which
makes sense. Yeah.
Which especially makes sense if we want to go back to like that, like the New Valhalla era, like you only play with the starter decks and the first set.
Yeah, potentially, yeah. If they want to do Worlds as like a premiere event, because they've tried Worlds because they've done Worlds in a bunch of different formats, traditional constructed, limited format where it's just the new cluster and the starter decks. They've done it as a half and half where we played constructed and draft. They've had it to be just pure New Frontiers. Like there's been all kinds of different stuff. And they typically tend to push Worlds as being a showcase of the new cards. And so with it lining back up with being able to have Worlds again, we would kind of expect that the next cluster's release will most likely coincide right alongside with Worlds, which means we might see another like just new cards Worlds, which as a commentator, fewer cards to have to learn and pull up images for. Don't hate it. So we'll have to see if that's the experience again. But that's it for us for tonight. We've gone through all the cards. We're very excited to see what Goo Boy is. And we'll end it a little early here tonight because I can continue to recover from FOW Fest. Again, if you're interested in potentially picking up some of the cool playmats and Chinese Melfies and Chinese Black Witches that are left over from FOW Fest, you can email us at rulerschoolcontent@gmail.com to talk to us about it, as well as you can go check out our post on the Force of Will Marketplace page on Facebook or in the Discord. We posted it there. We are trying to sell the remainder of the prize wall stuff to help raise funds for FOW Fest 3, because that is absolutely going to be an annual thing moving forward. We had an absolute blast. We had players from all over the world come and visit us. It was an absolute honor to have them all there and play with you all for 48 hours of amazing Force of Will, and I want to make it even better next year. So hopefully looking forward to that. So, but then that's all I have for us for tonight. So until next week, there will be no feature match this week. We'll be spending time just kind of getting caught up, getting a couple deck profiles, as well as starting to do some work on some other big projects. Now that FowFest is done. But until next time, this is myself, Demo73, and I have been joined as always by Mike Rance.
Once again, make sure you're playing a shitload of death metal.
Death metal.
Oh, you're playing Force Will.
Sounds good. And until next time, class dismissed. Have a good night, everybody.